But there's a more of a freedom in the 60s and 70s about sexual identities. Did that affect you in any way?
I think I was lucky in a way because at the time my mother had some gay friends. And they was, if you like, typical gay for then. Every time I remember going shopping with that, she'd met one of them in the high street. I don't know why, they always cried. For whatever story they were coming out with. So maybe, to me, it was, it didn't matter. It never bothered my mother and that. And in fact, I remember when I told my mum, she's really disappointed. I was expecting her to scream and shout and things, and she just said, "Well, you're still my son, aren't you?"
What about your parents, Tina?
My mother died a long, long ago, and I haven't spoken to my father in 10 years. I sent him a letter with a photograph about 2 years ago, and I've heard no reply. I've had no contact, so... But knowing my father, I'm not surprised. Really, he's what we used to call a straight arrow.
So how would you define the difference between a gay person and one that's had a gender correction from male to female?
The difference between? I'm not quite sure I get you.
Well, a gay man would have a different persona from a transsexual. About the transsexual, so in your case, was a male first.
Yeah.
So did you, in any way, feel gay as such, or was it never that?
Okay, I'm with you. I'm going to keep falling back on the briefings that I did with the people at work because I got so many questions from them, and top of the list was, does this mean you're gay? And my answer was not yet, but I'm working on it. Because no, all the time I was living within the skin that I had, I was a straight male. And now I am a gay female. Just because I live in London doesn't mean I don't still support Manchester United. I might have been born there and support them. You move to London, you don't just start suddenly supporting Chelsea. I'm still a United fan, and always will be. But that's the hard thing for people to get their head round, because most people think now that, oh, you've got to be into men then. No, sorry. I just had the ultimate tomboy upbringing. And that was how it was put to me by a female friend of mine. She said, you know what, you've done things that I would have given my right arm for, but I wasn't allowed to because I was a girl. She said, you were the ultimate tomboy, you could do these things, and now you can be who you are, having done them. And to a large degree that gave me the strength to be who I am now. Because you rely on your past experience and the strength that you learn and the fact that you learn to live in characters to hide certain parts of when things hurt, or... And we all cry, seriously, I can cry at an Anthrax advert. But you learn to hold it until it's an appropriate time, or hold it until you get somewhere where you're on your own and you're not going to embarrass yourself. Whereas a lot of people will be hit by an insult or a slight remark, and it will be, uh-oh, eyes leaking, tears not everywhere, and that's even worse because now you're in a position of total emotional nakedness in a public place. And I've done that, I have been there, and that is the most horrible feeling on earth. But the strength that I learned through where I've come from, and the support I've had from my family, from my sister, I have people that I can talk to. So when I get home, I'll be the glazed donut monster on the phone. But I have the ability to walk away from a situation intact and deal with it in private. That's the one thing that I've brought with me from my previous existence. To me, it's almost like living two lives in one. The one argument I do have is I am now caught in the middle of a relationship breakup, make-up between two friends, and the guy thinks I can see his side, the girl thinks I can see their side, and I am now firmly sitting on the fence, and I promise you I'm getting splinters from it. I've had enough, so if they ever watch this, get over it!
Talking about insulting remarks, now you left the casino, or the gambling trade because of these things.
Yeah, not my finest hour. I talk about strength. Everybody has strength, everybody has finite strength. I began my transition really in January of 2005, when I moved out of home. I went to see my then boss in the March to explain what was about to happen. Having done my research, knowing full well that effectively by telling him I became bomb-proof at work. They could not discriminate against me, they could not tell me I no longer work there because I'm doing this. I knew all this, but because you are so emotionally sensitive at the time, I was prepared to walk into that office and walk out without a job. The company and the staff were so supportive, it was ridiculous. One famous occasion, I walked into the staff room and one of the girls said, "Damn, I can't remember your name." And I said, "Name badge?" She said, "No, not that one, your old one. I can't remember who you were. I have no memory of you previously now." And that was a dream come true for me because they had forgotten my past. They still knew the person. And that's where I was lucky. They grew to know a person. But with a minority of the customers, and we are talking no more than about 15%, it was hard to say the least. Sometimes it was ignorance, sometimes it was misfired humour, and sometimes it was just downright abuse. But it was like a paper cut. Every time somebody comes out with a comment. Now I used to try and make things easy for people. I would cover things with humour. That's my defence mechanism. And if I was feeling uncomfortable, I would crack the joke before anybody else got the chance. Which is fine. You make that, but you go past that. Once you've made your point to people, and I figured a year was enough, that, I'm here now, deal with it. I even decided to start work in role on New Year's Eve because we do a fancy dress do. I did a fancy dress do on New Year's Eve. So me turning up in a dress with my makeup was no big deal. It was no big deal to everybody else, but it gave the regular customers a reason for it. And it gave me a chance to explain that actually, no, I'm not just doing this for tonight, this is me outside. I actually walked in like this tonight. This is who I am. But each little comment, when you're standing on a poker table dealing poker and somebody comes up and says, "Oh look, there's an appropriate hand, a pair of queens." Yay, funny. We smile. It's funny the first time. Not quite so funny the second time. By the time you've heard it 1,000 times, it's one little paper cut after another. Each one, nothing. You have a customer that insists on calling you him. Standing there in a goddamn evening dress. But he said so and so, and I'm like, "Do you want these?" Again, paper cuts. And each one, as I say, is nothing. You hardly feel, really, you hardly feel it. You lose only a drop of blood. And then you look back at the end of the week and your hand has been skinned. from paper cuts, and you've lost half a pint of blood. Drip by drip by drip. But this carried on and on and on to the point where I was signed off by my doctor with stress, depression. I was off for 13 months, putting myself back together, because I used to sit and cry before I went into work. And because I don't quit, I went back, knowing I was wrong. And I was there for 6 months before I was off for another month. And the intervals of work and sick leave were getting reversed. The sick leave was longer than being back at work, and it was all wrong. And because I loved what I did, because I knew my regular customers, to me it was like being savaged by a puppy that you've had since you were this big. You watched it grow, you grew together. But now this puppy has just tried to rip your throat out, and you will never trust it again. Doesn't mean you love it any less, you just can't trust it and you can't go near it. And the lowest point for me was when I actually decided that I couldn't go back to work, because I felt a failure. But my sister pointed out, you started a new life 5 years ago. Well, now it's time to complete that start. This is the end of the beginning for you. You started a new life, now go and start your new future. Which stopped me feeling like a failure and started putting me back on the road to being the idiot that I've become.
Kevin, you never felt like a failure, did you, when you changed from catering to LGBT services?
I didn't, no, sorry, from catering I went to transport. And then from transport I came into, if you like, it was the HIV side I actually came into originally, because I volunteered, while I was working still in transport, I then volunteered for Caress then, because it was all volunteers. I ended up working for Caress because I actually lost, or I was made redundant. It was actually due to a disability that I was actually made redundant. And that's how I ended up working for Caress. So, but no, I didn't. The catering thing, that was choice. The reason I left that. Transport, it just happened. I actually took a temporary job and I ended up staying there about 11 years. So, but no, it's transferring, if you like, into the voluntary sector and that, probably the best thing that's happened. And in the way of having a disability, that's what gave me, that forced me to do it as well, and that was a good thing as well. So it's actually something good came out of having a disability. So it's good, but no, I wouldn't say I felt failure in that sense.
So how enriched do you feel in your own life?